So I'm super excited, and here in a little bit, Lori Ficarra is going to be on tonight's call. And Lori and I met a year and a half ago. So her broker has the largest brokerage in Staten Island, New York. And what I think is super cool about that is he's an independent broker. It's not affiliated with a franchise or with a national company. And so just as an individual broker owner, they dominate Staten Island. She actually lives in Tottenville, New Jersey. So they have to be dual licensed in New York and New Jersey. And so I met her at a Tom Ferry function, and we sat across from each other at lunch, and you'll get to listen to her when she jumps on the call here in a little bit and hear her awesome accent. It's one of my favorite things. And I love her and her brokers so much that David and I decided to go hang out with them in Staten Island. I'd never been to Staten Island other than I took the ferry across, took the picture of the Staten Island sign, and came back one other time. But she's amazing. And what I want Lori to talk about tonight, if you hadn't already saw my social media post, is we're going to do the full-fledged. So the biggest investment component to marketing, that's what I want her to talk about and what she's doing. And it didn't start out that way for her, but she has a huge love of animals, in particular dogs. And she was really working on a lot of animal rescues and trying to find fosters and trying to find permanent forever homes for dogs. And then it's turned into now she brings her, like, she goes and gets foster dogs and brings them out on her listing videos and showcases the dog with her listing. And she's become a local celebrity in that area. She's turned my coach that we now share. He was like, she's just totally turned into this badass local celebrity. She was strictly like working with the majority, like 80 to 90% buyer leads. And now it's flip-flopped into that for seller leads because of the video content, because of the contribution she's giving back to her community, and because of her passion for what it is that she's doing. So she's going to jump on the call here toward the end, but a couple of things that I wanted to talk about tonight. First and foremost, the free side, which the thing I wanted to talk about tonight briefly, and I'm going to spend the most time talking about the frugal side, which is open houses. And I'm going to call on Realtor Crystal here in a little bit about that and some of the stuff she does because she's a rock star at this. But I want to talk about agent to agent referrals as far as the free side of tonight's call. The thing that's crazy, when I sat and I broke down all of the transactions that I've closed this year, first and foremost, number one, and it should always be number one in your business center, is repeat, referral, and your SOI. So the people that you know, the people you're making connections with, the people you went to grade school with, church with, whatever, or your past clients, those should always be your biggest pool of buyers and sellers that you work with. And if you're doing it right, they'll just be repeat, repeat, repeat. And it makes it really easy. I just went on a listing appointment Saturday, and it was super uncomfortable because 90% of my business is just, hey, Lesley, come and list my house. We've already worked together. They already know, like, and trust me. I walk in and I'm like, this is what I think we need to do. And this is how we're going to strategize it. This is this. And they're like, okay. And so Saturday I walked in and she had found me on Google. And for those of you that have been creating websites, when we talked about this in the beginning, I know Lynn and I talked about this. It was like, think of words that people search. And she specifically called me and she said, I was Googling top Wichita agent. And that's what I picked in January, December timeframe when we switched over to Real, and I had my own website at that point. So anyway, I go out there and it's a totally different conversation than come list me. It's like objection, 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 and handling that stuff. So we'll get into that on a different call, but it was interesting, and it was a reminder of how my business started 21 years ago and what some of you guys are going through as new agents, because guess what? You do this long enough, you don't have that. You don't have a whole lot of objection. You just have, hey, I love you. You're the best. We loved coming to your parties, or we love this and this about you or your social media posts, and come list my house. So it's interesting how your business evolves. But agent to agent referrals, when I sat and looked through all of my numbers of what's happening in my business this year, aside second to repeat, referral, and sphere, agent to agent referrals is my number one lead gen source, which is kind of crazy. So 8 transactions closed already this year from other agents that are sending me business. So I want to talk a little bit about that and a couple of different ways that you can go about building a sphere of other agents that are your cheerleaders. So a couple of things, first and foremost, and some of these are going to cost and some of them aren't. So part of this is going to be free. I feel like I know that the people that are currently logged in and watching this video are all with Real Broker. I would tell you, go on Facebook, go on Instagram, go on TikTok, go on any of those platforms and friend request everybody else that's with the same brokerage. So if you're with Coldwell Banker, definitely, or Keller Williams or whatever, infiltrate the brokerage that you're with, because there's usually a lot of loyalty with a brand, agent to agent wise. The other thing I can tell you, especially with Real or EXP, where there's stock involved and you hope that the brokerage is going to do better and better and better, you're hoping that if you keep all of the referrals within your web, that it's going to help raise your stock price up. Should. So start going through those people you might know and start adding those. Now, I've got some future conversation that we're going to have about joining other groups and getting other accreditations and things like that in the future. And that's one definite way, or coaching, that's one definite way you can network. And that's more of an expense, but short term, if you're just looking online and you see another agent is a real estate agent, friend request them. The other thing that I do as I am out and showing houses here locally, I am going, a lot of times people will leave their business cards sitting on the kitchen counter or something like that. And I look and I see if I recognize who they are. If I don't recognize them, I take a picture of their business card and I make sure that I friend request them. I was just talking this morning to Tara Ritter, and she is one of the reps for Security First Title. And we were talking about how important it is to build relationships in business. And I don't care whether that's building relationships for buyers or sellers, or whether that's building agent relationships. That's how deals get put together. One of the craziest examples I can give you is an agent that we had done a couple of deals together. He's a lot of fun to work with. He's got a lot of energy and a whole lot of personality. And one of the things, our deals were awesome. So I was scheduling a showing on one of his listings, and he messaged me and he's like, hey, we've had a lot of interest in this. I've already heard rumor that a couple of other people are going to be bringing me offers, and I saw that you scheduled this for tomorrow. If your buyer is interested, they should look at it tonight. And this was a Friday. So I got a hold of my buyer. I said, hey, listing agent says we need to look at this tonight. If you're serious about this property, we went and looked at it. Now I text him and I said, hey, just want to talk to you about this. They're interested. What's our number have to be? Lynn and I talked about this a little bit earlier this week. And it was crazy because we went back and forth. He was like, hey, here's this, whatever. He basically told me what our offer needed to be. And the reason he could do that was because he was super good friends with his seller, and they were sitting in his house drinking beer. So they were sitting there telling him what to make the offer for, what they would accept. And then I'm telling my buyer, which was crazy. And so hopefully he doesn't watch this, but my buyers were willing to pay $10,000 more than what he told me they were willing to accept. So we wrote up the contract. I told him I had it all signed, and he said, bring it over to my house and you can drink beer with us and we'll sign it on the spot. So guess what we did? We drank beer. Surprise. So we went over, we met with the seller. David and I sat there, drank beer, got our contract accepted, and our buyers were over the moon that they got the deal accepted. Now, you fast forward 3 years, and this agent, he's went through a divorce. He's working at Spirit. He's not in the same real estate mindset that he was 3 years earlier. And so he calls me and says, "Hey, I know you're a solid agent. I know you do what's best for your buyers. I know we have a similar personality type. I have somebody in Andover, military. They're living in Europe and they need to sell their house. Would you be interested in listing it?" So tomorrow I have a closing for this particular referral. This is an agent that's still licensed. He's not even with my brokerage. He's here in Wichita, different brokerage, and I'm paying him a 25% referral for this lead that he gave me. And what's even more insane about it, and I'm super excited about it, is this closing is giving me my $16,000 worth of stock and making and catapulting me into elite status with Real Broker. So it's really funny. I wish hindsight being 2020 when I started, and Lynn and Koresh, you guys can still do this because you're newer agents. It's like I wish I would have mapped out 100% where all of my leads came from. One of my mentors in Northern California did that, and it was crazy because she could sit and look at it and she's like, "I've made over $1 million from this one person that I did a deal with, and they referred me this one person, and this one person referred me this." Because here we are, I've done multiple deals now with this agent, and now he's referring me business. And I told him I would pay him for it. And he was just like, "Really?" "Yes, every single freaking person that you want to send me, I will pay you 25% and I will take really good care of them. And we're going to go on down the road." And so that's what's crazy about real estate is you just never know where the paychecks are coming from. And sometimes it seems like it's left field, but the more people that you can be friendly with and build relationships with, the better in this industry. So the next thing that, I mean, if you guys have any questions about that, I guess let's ask that first and foremost. But I would say the more people you friend request, get to know, like I've joined real estate groups that I pay for. I'm in a real estate group called Mill Estate, Milestate, and they have one agent per location. And every time that they come on and they welcome a new agent, or every time that they wish them a happy birthday or whatever, friend request, friend request. I'm like, I need followers. The more people that I know that I'm living and selling real estate in the Wichita, Kansas market, the better. And what's super crazy about agent to agent referrals and building those cheerleader databases is 99% of the time, they're not going to have the referral business that they're going to send to you, especially if you're in Wichita, Kansas. Maybe if you were in a different market, possibly. But, and let's go into that in a minute too. I'm going to catapult this into that. But I think the more that people know where you're at and know who you are, the more they continuously tag you. Because I have a group of cheerleaders that I have made good connections with, and they have sent me referrals through Tom Ferry training, through Mill Estate, through EXP when we were there, now through Real since we're here. It's crazy to think how many times my name is tagged whenever things come up on social media where they're looking for an agent anywhere in Kansas, because 99% of the time they don't even know where Wichita is on a map. So if you hear Junction City or Kansas City, as soon as they hear Kansas, I'm tagged. So I think that that is super duper important, just to have your name out there, regardless of whether it's agent to agent or anything. The more people that know what you're doing, the more real estate you're going to sell. the next thing that I was wanting to talk about, so let's go back to that. Does anybody have questions about agent to agent, or has anybody had experience? I mean, Crystal, have you received any other referrals from any other agents?
I have.
And
Took
was
a
it from
while.
social media? Was it from a
Yes,
brokerage you were with, or how did it come through?
Facebook is my pretty much my only social media that I know how to use, and it came through like that. Someone had posted in a forum that said they were looking for uh, they were looking for an agent. What was that? I think it was yeah, Winfield. It was Winfield, Kansas. They were moving to Lincoln, Nebraska for work, and someone had said they needed to sell their house, and I said I'm in the area, and another agent had they told the person about me. I don't remember quite how it happened, but I paid them. They didn't want anything, and I said, well, I'll pay, at least pay a referral, and I paid them 15%. You know, uh,
That's
I
what's
haven't cleaned it
crazy
up a
is
lot.
sometimes they don't ask for it.
Yeah, they
And
just weren't good care of because they were moving. They were transferring jobs. They worked at Walmart, and it was like their third transfer in 14 years, and um, they ended up in Winfield, Kansas. And so I sold their house and they moved on to Lincoln, Nebraska.
I just closed a deal that I had referred to me through Tom Ferry. So that's something to also think about. It's like I'm spending about $1,300 a month on coaching, but I feel like as long as I get several referrals throughout the year from agent to agent, then my coaching's free. I mean, if that's my marketing and I'm using it for that and I'm working on networking and connecting. So if I'm in that group page and somebody comments something and I answer something back and I start engaging with them, I friend request them. Like I want to follow other agents. I want to see what they're doing, especially in my coaching page. I'm like, these should be the top of the top. So I'm trying to figure out what it is that they're doing. But I had Eugene out of Dallas call me and he was like, hey, this seller has actually already been working with somebody and she feels most comfortable speaking Spanish. She speaks English, but she feels most comfortable speaking Spanish. Do you speak Spanish? And I said, I can figure out where the bar is, where the bathroom is. I can tell you what my name is, and for someone to sit down and be quiet or take out a piece of paper. I remember that from grade school. But I said, no, not fluently. And I said, but I will tell you this. I have agents within our organization that speak Spanish. So I'm willing to work with them and split my commission. We'll implement my marketing plan and we'll implement her speaking Spanish. And they were like, perfect. They yanked them from another agent at another brokerage that they were getting ready to list with. And they told them, we want you to work with these people. We know that they do a great job. Lesley is a top agent, blah, blah, blah. And he didn't want anything for it because he just wanted their house sold as fast as possible so that they could do the $1.2 million deal with him in Dallas. They'd already had a house. They just needed it gone. So he wanted somebody that was a heavy marketer and he had went and looked up the person's stats on Zillow of what they sold and it didn't look very impressive to him. And so he was trying to find somebody else that could get their house sold so that he would be paid on their Dallas transaction. So think about that as you're doing things. Also, if you're in a market that feeds or gets fed from another market, those are the people that you should be focusing on. There's a website that you can even track um, demographics and things like that. And it's called, I'll think about this and I'll post it when I post the video, but I think it's called How the Money Walks. But what it is it looks at it and like everybody that's tuned in right now, we're all in Sedgwick County, or I guess Crystal's not. Crystal's in Sumner, but it's kind of the same thing. So you can look and see, it's like, where are people coming from that are moving to Sedgwick County? And you can also see, and they look at this based on tax statistics. And you can also see where they're going. So like the number one place that people in Sedgwick County are moving to, Johnson County. So Kansas City. So to me, like if you know these things, then that's where you can focus on building alliances. And so like I've been talking to a couple of agents from Florida about coming over and working at our brokerage. And they know for a fact that like New York, New Jersey, things like that, those are their primary lead sources coming to Florida because they want to winter here. They're trying to buy a second home or things like that. So the better agent to agent relationships that they have with agents in those markets, the higher the lead caliber is going to be that they receive. It's not just going to be like we talked about last week, posting on buy, sell, and trade pages, which is still important. And if you're an agent in Florida and you know that you have a huge clientele that moves there every year from New York or New Jersey, you should join those buy, sell, and trade pages and you should be posting things in there. But the caliber of lead, like we talked about last week, you're going to need 100 to 300 online leads to generate one closing. Where if this is somebody that's referred to you, you have a 1 in 10 chance that they're closing with you. I can tell you, I can only think of a handful in 20 years that I haven't closed when it's somebody that came to me specifically from a referral from another agent or from a friend or a past client or something like that of us. So the caliber of lead is different when it's coming this way. Next thing that I want to talk about, and hopefully then Lori will be pretty close to being ready to jump on, is something that has, to me, a little bit of spend. So that frugal tagline that I've been using in this is open houses. So one of the things that I think is super important as a new agent, and I think it will only be more and more important as all of this stuff transpires, I still feel like we're feeling out what's happening with the commission lawsuits that have happened through NAR. But now that everybody has to sign something, even to walk into a house, unless they're looking at it with the listing agent or they're coming to an open house, I think that open houses could be a massive component to people's business in the near future once all of this stuff shakes loose. And I feel Wichita is pretty insulated for how things are reacted to. We don't usually like have any knee-jerk reaction to anything. So it's pretty even keel, but other markets might feel that even more. And so I think open houses are, one, already important, but two, could potentially be even more important. So if you've spent any amount of time listening to me whatsoever in the past, one of the things that I always tell people is when I'm setting up my new listings, I have Andrew, my photographer, come out and he takes photos of my new listings on Tuesdays. Then I start doing a coming soon on social media Wednesday and Thursday. And then Friday, my listings hit the market and we have open house on Saturday and Sunday. So I think that this is specifically important during football season. I don't know why football is the one that is really the hot button, and maybe just because it's on Sunday, but it really does seem to affect open houses. Here comes Lori. So what I want to talk to you about is how to maximize these open houses. And I think Saturdays are super important on top of the Sundays due to the football schedule. And so with the open houses, the things that I do for mine is the first weekend that we list, I always do a Saturday and a Sunday. And then I always put it on social media. So you're going to see it on my private page. You're going to see it on my business page. You're going to see it on the buy, sell, and trade pages. And then I also create an event for it on social media that's open to the public. It's just something that people can select that they want to participate or that they're interested in it. And then it sends them a reminder, which is important because most of us need reminded, like, I asked Lori to do this and I thought I had responded and sent her a text back and I didn't hit send. So nobody's perfect. And I'm thankful that she's on our call tonight. But that is, people need reminders. Their life is busy. And so I think that that is super important. The other thing, as you're holding open houses and you're gearing this up for your open house, I think it's super important to create as much hype around it as you can. So a couple of different things that you can do or that I do is I use a program called Sly Broadcast. So what it does is you put all of the phone numbers in it that you want it to call at the exact same time. And it will ring every one of those people at the exact same time. It will look like it's coming from your phone number. It rings their phone half a ring, and then it automatically puts a voicemail into their voicemail. So one of the things that I do, because people are like, well, what do you do about the no call list? I'm not soliciting them. I'm not selling them anything. I'm just merely giving them a traffic report. So I call them and I leave a message. Hey, this is Lesley with Real Broker. I just wanted to let you know that we just listed the house at 2349 Regency Lakes Court, and it hits the market tomorrow. And we're going to have an open house on Saturday and Sunday. So there's going to be quite a few extra cars in the neighborhood and people driving by slow. And I didn't want you to feel alarmed. So I just wanted to let you know what we had going on. So
I
I've
like
had
that
people,
idea. That's a good idea.
girlfriend, it works like a champ. My open houses are usually super busy.
Traffic report.
Traffic report, because I'm just super worried about them. I don't want them to be concerned about these extra slow drivers by the houses that
It's
we're going to
very
have.
considerate of you. Very caring. The caring realtor.
Welcome, Lori, to our
Thank
call.
you. And I'm sorry that I'm late. I had appointments after work, and then I kind of got bullied into joining my community council, which I'm happy to do. I'm a very big part of it anyway, but I never felt the need that I had to be there. Now I have to be there. And when it started at 7 and I walked in at 7:15, I realized they were waiting for me.
Oops.
Yeah, so I couldn't leave early, and we got out of there at 9:15. So, but I'm here now. Perfect time. And
All
9:30,
good.
9:30 my time. Yeah. But this is so great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you share your story with everybody as soon as we're finished with this open house, Jazz. And I'm going to make
Yeah,
it super quick because I want to
it's
hear
fine.
your part too.
Take your time.
So I do this live broadcast. I know that some title companies have phone number access. We don't have that here in our market. I know that there are programs that you can pay for those phone numbers, but since we like to do things on the cheap, we have access to oh, what the heck is it called? Forewarn. And so I have my assistant go through, she looks up all the houses in the neighborhood, courtesy of the tax appraisal, and she finds their phone numbers and then she sends me a list. So like tomorrow, I have 3 different phone calls coming out. Now, be considerate if this is something you're interested in doing. Don't send it out at 8 o'clock in the morning, because some of the owners, and I have had some cussed out phone calls, that they're getting that phone call at 6 a.m. because they live on the West Coast. So understand that there's time differences and not everybody lives in our market. So I'm going to send out tomorrow's call at noon, because the majority of them are going to be there and they're going to be on their lunch break, and that hopefully they can take the call and hear what my voicemail is and still have enough time to plan to be there at either Saturday or Sunday from 2 to 4 on the 3 houses that I'm having open. So that's one of the things. Now, I don't know if Realtor Crystal's listening in or not, but she kills it with door knocking. I have never door knocked a day in my life. But she's awesome at that. And I took her lead. I actually hired my son, and I don't think she's here because she hasn't spoke up, but she puts on a piece, like she was handing out little bags of microwave popcorn, and she would go door to door and just invite them to pop by her open house. Realtor, or there you go. I hear you.
Yep, I'm here. It was really fun too. I got 2 listings out of it in one day. Well, like 2 hours. One time in Rose Hill, Kansas, I was just going down the nearby blocks and wanted to invite people to the open house. And I asked them, give me a call if you have any friends or family that are looking to move to the area, and pop on by. And people loved it. They thought it was really cute. And a couple of the properties, one property I knocked on their door and a lady answered and she said, oh my gosh, I've been trying to get moved to Ohio or somewhere, and with her family. And I said, oh, great. You have an agent, already in mind? And no, you just popped up. And I said, great. Well, how about the popcorn? And she said, do you have time to look at the house now? And I said, I sure do. Let me grab my notebook here and out of my backpack, and I'll take some notes, and we'll get this done for you. And I was so excited, and I thought, no, I've got to at least finish that block and the next one over. And I always have a contract too, so I never leave without things signed here. So I get to the next block, and there's a lady outside, and she was an older lady, and she was kind of working in her garden a little bit. And I pulled up, and I said, hey, I just saw you outside. I just wanted to invite you to the open house. Pop on by if you can on Sunday. And if you know anybody looking to buy or sell in the neighborhood, it's pretty popular. And she said, well, actually, I'm trying to get cleaned up to move. We're going to sell our house. And I said, well, that's great. I just happened to be here at the right time then, right? And she said, do you like chickens? And I said, I do like chickens. She said, oh my gosh, I've got this box of chickens. And I'm thinking, what, real chickens or what's going on, And she sure enough had a box of chickens. They were glass. I still have some of them in my kitchen up above my cabinet. She gave me all of her chickens and friends for life.
That's funny. And you think about that, like in all the marketing that you've done, Crystal, it's like microwave popcorn was the cheapest marketing you could have ever done, because as you get busier, it's like you have to think, do I have time to spend or do I have money to spend? And you just have to start sacrificing one for the other. But the newer agents, and they're trying to generate leads or they're trying to generate a buzz, I love it because nobody else is out doing that. And it's a hustle. I mean, it's a grind to go out there and knock those doors, especially today. Freaking 101 degrees here. Lori, what was it in New York today?
Not too bad. I feel like for me it was hot, Lesley, but for everybody else, they said it was like
Not for Kansas.
I think it was like 85. I felt it was warm personally. But it was not too bad. A beautiful day. Yeah.
So I think that that's really important. And the reason that I think that the neighbors are super important coming to the open house is because the buyers don't know who's who. And so you get 20 bodies or, even 6 bodies in a house at the same time.
Yeah.
They start having FOMO. They're just like, oh shit, there's other people here that are going to be interested in this house. And they come strong if they want to buy that house. Mm-hmm. So I love neighbors. And the other reason I love neighbors is because I would way rather list houses than work with buyers, because buyers take 6 times more time out of your schedule than listings. That's right. So the more houses you can list, the better you're going to be, the better your time is spent to make more money that way. So I like dealing with them. I want them to see all of the things that I do in order to get our houses sold. And so when they're getting my phone call and they're seeing open houses and it's multiple days and all of the other stuff that we're doing on social media, things like that, it works. So the other things that
do you feel open houses sell houses?
They can.
But do you think that you get I was just talking to one of my sellers about that today. They're like, do you really feel that a lot of your sales come from the open house? So I was curious to hear what you had to say.
No. Now, so that's my quick answer. But now you think about it bigger picture, and it's like, do other houses sell from that open house? 100%. Yes. Or I look at it and go, I might not have met that lead at the open house, but they came through and they got with their agent and now they're freaked out. Or The other thing that I like, I want them to come through my house on Friday, which is the first day of listing. And I want them to be pressured to make an offer fast because they're scared that we're going to have an open house on Saturday and Sunday and they want to make the offer.
Right.
So
That's
I
true.
use it as leverage more than I use it because I'm not super interested in picking up buyers. I'm super interested in meeting the neighbors and creating this pressure for people to make a decision and for them to have fear of missing out so that I can leverage that for better offers for my seller. So I do feel that they serve a purpose. Is it 100% that I feel like I'm selling my listing from that? Maybe not right now. In the last few years, hell yeah, we had, I don't know how many people would come through open houses and, that was when stuff was selling in 30 minutes. And
Mhm.
so I was starting my listings on Saturday and we would just instantly do Saturday and Sunday open house.
Right.
And then we
And
would
it was
tell them that
sold.
we weren't
Yeah.
responding. Yeah. So I think as the market quote unquote normalizes, and that's going to be hard for a lot of agents that haven't been in this more than 4 or 5 years, they're going to have to start doing more and more things to generate excitement around their listings.
Mhm.
And I'm a firm believer that the more excitement you can generate in the beginning, the better opportunities you're going to have to get the most amount of money for your sellers. Because I've read statistics that say the first 12 days are the biggest hype points for a listing. And really after that, it's price reduction. So in the past several years, few years, COVID, I have told my clients, if we don't have 10 offers or 10 people that have looked at your house in the first 10 days, it's $10,000 off minimum. Like, because the market was so hot. And I made a video about this the other day. I really feel like people's negotiation strategy has changed and nobody wants to be offensive. And so they don't want to make offers. They just are like, well, what's wrong with it? All right, well, we'll just let it sit a little while longer and see if the price drops. It's the weirdest thing for me because I love to negotiate and I love to lowball stuff and everything else that I don't understand it, but I'm definitely seeing it. And I was super shocked even when I made the video, how many people were like, yeah, we just feel like it should be priced reasonable. And if it's not priced reasonable, then probably the seller isn't reasonable. And they just don't want the drama
Yep.
of dealing with.
I had an agent come to me the other day and he said that he will not take his clients to see a house that's overpriced because he doesn't want to encourage them to make a lower offer. And he won't, and he said to me, I said, my seller's hearing all offers. It's definitely an overpriced listing. He's like, I will not take my buyers there. Adamant. He will not let them come in and make a lower offer. I was like,
I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, I
Yeah.
have several thoughts, but I'll
Yep.
reserve them. I'll chew on that and respond later. But that's just crazy because I look at it and I'm just like, if my buyer calls me and says, hey, I want to go look at 123 Main Street, then we're going to look at it.
That's
Like,
right.
and then we can have that conversation. Look, it's got a $70,000 solar panel loan and it's not going to appraise it that much. And you're still going to have to take on this much extra, this much. And then when I'm there talking to them about it, it makes sense. And they feel like I'm looking out for them.
Right.
You can talk them out of it. But
Absolutely.
anyway, so on these open houses, a couple of other things that I'll give you. I always have buyer packets on hand for those of you guys that are in our group. You can use mine off of Canva, rip it off, duplicate it. Lynn has done that. Hers look great. I can
Shout out
see
to
who's done
MVP.
it. Whoop, whoop. I can see who's done it and who hasn't when I send you the link to do it. So I know who's followed through. But I think it's super important to have flyers with the MLS data on it. I think it's super important to have seller disclosures. I think it's important that you read them and you understand what the hell you're selling and what you're standing in the house so that you answer people's questions. Because I've encouraged all of our newer agents to walk through multiple open houses and not say that they're an agent and get a feel for how other agents are acting and then do the stuff they like. And if they don't, definitely don't do it. So, but a lot of times it's crazy to me that you get newer agents typically that do open houses and they don't know shit. And so they just stand there and they look really stupid. And it's not really their fault other than if they could have researched it and had some better information to hand out. I think the other thing that's important to have on site there is data of what's happening in the neighborhood. It's like, hey, I know we're here in Goddard School District, and I don't know if that's the thing that you're specifically looking for, but here's some other houses in Goddard School District from 250 to 350,000, which we're right smack in the middle. And if you want to look at any of these, I'm more than happy to show them to you. Or you could even, as you're door knocking, like Realtor Crystal does, you could have basically almost like a market analysis for these people and be like, hey, I'm just listed your neighbor's house and I just wanted to give you this. This is kind of a synopsis of what's happening in the area. And if you're curious about what your house is worth, I'd love to schedule a time and come in and take a peek and give you a number. And it's no obligation to anything, just if you're curious. So I think anytime that you have something that you can give out, that's better and something for people to walk away with. And the bigger it is, almost the better because they can't lose it like a business card. I hardly ever use business cards anymore. But the more data you can give people or the more booklets and things like that, they just don't get rid of it. And I've seen it like sitting around houses for months and then they call me and I'm like, wow, they still had that after my open house. It's pretty crazy. I always have something that's about me. And then I always have something that's a QR code on how I'm going to lead capture. So if you wanted to have a QR code that goes to your CRM, that goes to your website that says, scan me to see all the other homes available in Goddard School District, or scan me to see what your home is worth or whatever, I put it in a picture frame and I put it in kind of an obscure place. Like I will sit it on the bathroom countertop. So I don't want them to feel like I'm hovering over them at the kitchen counter or wherever I stand, because that's typically where I stand. So I want them to scan it and feel comfortable scanning it. And so I put it in other places and then it will capture their information for me. So a couple of other tips for open house. Make sure you're there early. Make sure you get all the lights turned on. I love music. Lynn knows this. I love Huey Lewis. I don't know what it is about it. Koresh knows this too, because he came to my open house and he heard it jamming out. But to me, Huey Lewis is like one of the most unoffendable people, and it's upbeat and it's 80s and early 90s. Like it's hard to just not like that sort of thing.
Yep, I used him.
Yep.
And Phil Collins, and everyone loves it at my open houses.
Yeah.
And so like, how old are you? I'm just like, I'm an old soul.
Yeah, like this old lady that's training me told me to play this. Make sure you unlock the back door because nothing shows that you haven't had anybody else through your open house when people try to go out and look at the backyard after an hour and 30 minutes of your open house was supposed to be going on and the door's still locked. Get rid of the trash cans in the walkway. I mean, just some of that super duper simple stuff. Think about things logically and get rid of it. And then also collect the information. The best way that I have found to collect information is telling them that we're doing a drawing. So just have a little bowl there that they can write down their information in and be like, and I do it first thing. A lot of times when I have them coming into the open house, I will greet them, or David usually stands at the door and greets them. He's a lot of time our greeter and thanks them for coming to the open house. It's like, hey, have you guys ever ate at whatever place? George's a lot of times. And they're like, yeah, because it's odd because they're walking in feeling like they're going to be sold something. And here David is coming out of left field. Like, hey, have you guys ever had dinner at George's? And they're like, yeah, we like George's. What's your favorite thing on the meal? Well, the steak's really good. Yeah, it's actually our favorite. Okay, so we do a drawing every month from all of our open houses. And if you want to register, we're giving away a $50 gift certificate to George's. And then you have everybody for the month even. You don't have to even do it for that one. Now, I was talking to Elizabeth and Jason Stanton, and they do a $5 Sonic gift card or whatever is in your market, because I know Sonic's not in Staten Island. And do they have Sonic?
We have Sonic. We have, I think, maybe one.
Okay. They're expanding.
New. It's
So
new.
people love that. That's an Oklahoma company, but they love that here in the Midwest. And so it was funny because they said that they tell people that they do a couple of drawings from every open house. Now, what they actually do, they everybody that gave them their phone number, they call them and told them they won. And so it's $5. I mean, they just call them and then they get to meet them again, hand them the information, the card, hand them their information again, get a little bit of more face-to-face time with them. And that's how they're really like killing it at open houses. So it's not a totally free thing. Yes, you can stand in there and look pretty and not have any information or anything. But in order to be effective at open house, you need a whole lot of signage. You need a whole lot of information and details, things that you're offering to people to leave with, and then something that you can use to follow up with them after the fact. And if you have a CRM that you can help lead capture, that's going to be an expense too. And we're going to talk about that in some future trainings, but I want to hustle up because I really planned on being off of here sooner than I have been. I've been chatty tonight and I want to get to Lori. So does anybody else have any questions before Lori talks about her gig of what she's doing on dog rescue, about open houses? Sweet. If you do, message me. You know how to get a hold of me. So Lori, without further
tips
ado,
on the open houses. I like everything you said.
Glenn told me that you're crushing it on listings. You become this whole like local celebrity. You're the queen of Staten Island. And he had all this stuff because I told him I was going to start working on putting these trainings together. And he was like, Lori.
So it's so funny. In maybe January, he told me, he was like, enough. If you guys don't know the market here in Staten Island, New York, not everywhere in New York, only Staten Island, buyers agents were being paid 1%. And you would bust your butt working with buyers, and everybody just kind of accepted it. We're getting paid 1%. So he had said to me in like January or February, he was like, Lori, what are we doing? He's like, you just have to do listings, no more buyers. And so he told me that, and I probably I don't know, might have like 30 deals so far, 20 something deals going on, and they're pretty much all, I think I've only worked with 2 buyers this year, only because they're my clients. I'm selling their house and I have to find them something. Then this whole thing, the NAR, it's so many people were so nervous here. Oh my gosh, I have to have, buyers sign a contract. And I was like, I think that's going to be the best thing that ever happened to us. We can negotiate more money for ourselves. We can get 2%, so I really, I work in New Jersey too. New Jersey's 2%, Brooklyn's 2%, other parts of New York City are 2%, just not here. So now I'm happy. Like, that's one good thing about everything that's going on, that, I like it. I think it's better for all of us personally. So, but yeah, so listings. But I feel like Glenn calls everybody the queen of their area. Does he call you the queen of Kansas?
I'm not going to respond to that. You're the queen of Staten Island. You're the superstar tonight.
I busted him. Funny. Yeah, so no, thank you so much for having me. It is an absolute honor to be here. I admire you, that from day one when I met you. And I'm always so impressed, and I appreciate all of the advice that you always give everybody, because we all need it. We all need help. And one of the things that I met Lesley, and it kind of changed my life. And I remember sitting there and having lunch with her, and I'm like, who's your coach? Who's your coach? And I wound up coaching with her same coach, and he got me to get started with video, something that I knew I always had to do. I really was not comfortable getting started with video. I am not a young cutie running around high heels and all dressed up and ready to go every day, but it's true. It takes a lot of work to get ready and get dressed, and I just don't have that kind of time. So and for anybody else, I have another job. I have a full-time job. So I go from one to the other. So just, I don't have all that.
And she's still doing this much real estate, what she was talking about earlier, FYI.
It's a lot. It's a lot. But one of the things that doesn't happen is I don't really take care of myself, which is not good. So when I wake up and I go into work early in the morning, and then I have to fit in the videos, I'm always like, I don't know. I just don't feel like I'm that girl. So I don't know. It just kind of happens. I've been involved. I've loved dogs and cats my whole life. And I've always been involved with rescuing and fostering dogs. So I fostered so many dogs that it was really, really a lot on my family, especially with me working so much. It became their responsibility. So I said, how can I help out with the dogs without, having them in the house all the time? And one of the things that I started doing to kind of make myself feel better was I started featuring foster dogs in my real estate videos. So that made me feel comfortable, and it almost gave me the go ahead to be super casual in the video. Like, I don't have to be there all glamorous and gorgeous because I'm holding a dog that might have just pooped down my shirt. You know what I mean? Like, so it just took that, it just made it all it worked for me. And the first video I did, I had a tremendous response. And the best part about it was the dogs had another platform to shine on, which made me so happy. And my house got shared on social media so much more than it did without the dog in the picture, because not everybody's looking for a house, but people all think the dog was cute. Oh, let me help this guy. And they would share. So it kind of worked for everybody. And then once that started, fosters in the area started calling me and asking me, could you do your next video with my dog? So it just became a thing, and I absolutely love it. Yeah, it's great. And like I said, it lets me be me and be casual. And now I have my daughter starting to do the prettier videos, like the, I look nice. I look like I spent some time getting ready video, so it kind of works out. It worked out really good for me.
But it didn't need to be that. It was just you and authentic and your love of what you were doing.
Yeah. And you know what, Lesley, I was trying to be something that I wasn't. And
Your
it was
daughter
like,
told you that.
yes, you're 100% right. She's like, why don't you just be you? And I remember my mom, I think I've said this a million times. My mom was like, sweetheart, that's really great, but I'm a little worried because not everybody loves dogs. And when I said that to my coach, she's like, she's right. Your mom is definitely right. He goes, but that's okay because they're not your people. And when he said that to me, it really stuck in my head, because I thought to myself, he's right. Not everybody's your people. So I don't need to try and make them like me. It just kind of works when you're yourself and you do what you love, and it just happens. And then the business organically grows. And then it turns into the dogs on the flyers, right? On the pizza boxes. I print so many of them every week. I actually hired
Okay,
a girl.
so talk about what you're doing for that.
Yeah, so I'm actually still going very strong with that. So we print up flyers. We work with, I say we, there's a girl that helps me do this because it's so much to keep track of, because you have to keep in touch with the shelters and the rescues to find out if that dog or cat got adopted. If they did not, we take a picture of that dog or cat, we put it on the flyer, and we have the flyer go out on pizza boxes. And I've printed up these colored copies, and then my information is on the bottom. So, if anybody wants to reach out, they can. But what's happening is so many people like send me a picture when they get a pizza. They're like, hey girl, you're everywhere. which is nice. But what I love even more is that, the dogs get more. Some dogs are just sitting in a shelter and nobody's doing anything for them. So to do a video or to put them on a pizza box, it gives them a little bit of something. It gives them a chance.
So on the pizza boxes,
Mhm.
did the pizza company call you and say, hey, let's talk about this? Or did you contact them, or how did that
Nope.
come
So
about?
one pizzeria called me first and said that they saw that somebody was doing it someplace, somewhere, not on Staten Island. I don't even know where. And they go, would you be interested in doing this? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I'm like, how did I not think of this? And wound up doing that with him. And then I got a couple of other pizzerias involved. And then I have some in New Jersey too. So I work with the New Jersey shelters there. And, so it's good. It's, you're doing something good. And I'm not going to lie, it helps me grow my business organically. I'm not doing it for that reason, because if you know me, my whole forever, I've always done this, but I just kind of figured out, like Glenn said, you have to speak to your people, and that's a really good way to do it. And then
It's really interesting. Yeah.
I'm sponsoring, and I put my money where my mouth is. I am constantly making donations for the animals. I'm always raising awareness for all of the rescues. I am very hands-on. I do foster. You know, I'm constantly doing something with them. So it's my dog wants to come in. Hello, baby. She was knocking on the door. So yeah, so it's not just that, it's the whole package. Like, it's not like anybody could say, oh, Lori's using a dog in her video to get views. It's the whole way I live my life with it. You know what I mean?
100%. I have an agent in our group and she was like, how can I spend more time with you? And I said, well, I get my nails done every 3 weeks. Like, you know, she wants to sit and like pick my brain and have more
Yeah.
conversations. And I'm just like, there's so little time of me trying to get stuff done outside of my normal day to day. And so anyway, Kelly Prisco comes and has her nails done with me every 3 weeks. And we were talking about you being on this call tonight. And she says, oh my gosh, I love farms and I love riding my motorcycle. Like, I just need to make videos of me riding my motorcycle to the farm and
She
like
does.
doing these walks. And I was sitting there and like, I liked riding on the back of a motorcycle when we had one, but like for me riding one or for me walking a farm and grandma, like I grew up as a kid on Sundays at the farm. That's so not freaking my thing. I mean, Realtor Crystal and Kelly and all those guys love that stuff. And so it's just like, you have to get in and be who
And
you
Lesley, and if
are.
you did do that, people would be able to tell that it's not your thing.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I was telling one of our other agents, Julie, she has a handicapped nonverbal daughter and she's wheelchair bound and she's been that way since she was born. And, you know, she tells me, I have to do this for my daughter today, or I have to do this. And I said, why don't you incorporate that in some of your videos?
Mm-hmm.
And like, this is how we had to search for a house because I said, I'm sure there's differences when you go out and you look at houses. Like, they had to find a bedroom that was literally a straight shot from the front door to the back door where she could take a wheelchair and get it into those rooms. And I said, and then you could interview other local business people that were like, what are the newest gadgets on wheelchairs? Or here's a closet designer that she does ADA closets where they move the racks down
Or
lower.
if you
All
don't
of the
live, if
stuff that
that's
goes
not your
along
life,
with
you
being.
wouldn't know. Yeah.
I've learned so much about that just through clients that have had to transition, or I ever knew that there were different slip ratings on tile. And like, if you want government money from the VA about doing modifications, it has to have a certain slip resistance or whatever. I had no idea until I've done that with clients. But if somebody wanted to go and specialize in that, there's a whole freaking niche that nobody
Absolutely.
is doing
Yeah.
in our market.
Yeah.
And I feel like she would be super genuine in that because
She
lives it,
lives it. You're right.
you know, where I don't live that. Like, David asked me what I'm going to do when I retire, and I told him cat sanctuary. But like, I want to travel to Greece to hang out with cats because there's an island that has them. So I'm Lori's dog equivalent, basically, with cats. But I just think the more you find your passion and the more that you share that with people and you're just authentic and it doesn't need to be dressed up, it's big earrings and a t-shirt and whatever, and you show
Right.
up and you're you,
Yeah.
the more people love that.
Absolutely. And
So
it's funny when I first, when he first got me going, he was like, oh my gosh, you do all this work with the community. You do this, you do that. Why don't you tell people? And I just always felt funny about it. I was like, I don't know. You don't tell people you do good things. You just do good things. And he said, you're looking at it wrong. He goes, get out there, share it, guarantee you'd get more people that help. And he's 100% right. And I let go of that, like what somebody will think of me. Like I said, I walk the walk. So it's nobody could say anything. And I love it. I'm getting to do all the things that I've loved, that I've always done. And business comes to me organically through that, and I'm very, very grateful for it every day.
have you tracked like how many sales have come specifically from that, or how many pet adoptions have come specifically from that?
I have not, and I have a new girl working on my CRM. I'm embarrassed to say I never had one before. And we're working on all of that because that's like really, really important. I need to know this obviously. And I don't know exactly how much business is coming from there. I will say what I notice is happening to me, which didn't happen before, is people reach out to me now about listing their house, and they feel like they know me before I get there, and I think they've decided if they liked me before I got there, and I don't feel like I'm interviewing really like I used to be. I used to be going in and you knew they were talking to 4 other agents, and I'm like, I hope they like me. Now it's kind of like, okay, and
Here
not
I
that
am,
I have it like that.
you
It's
want
just,
me.
what's that?
You're like, here I am, and I know you want me.
Yeah, and you want to know what? I feel like if they don't, that's okay. They're not meant for me. That's it. They're just not my people. That's it. Too many things I've forced, and then it's not good. So
Yeah,
yeah, funny, right?
it is. I mean, it's so funny because it's so simple and it's such
Yes.
an easy concept to grasp. Because I remember talking to Glenn about, I made a video about how my mom and her brother inherited an investment property when my grandma died. And I gave them the advice that they should move the tenants out that were severely underpaying. And I thought the world was going to melt from all of the crazy comments that I got. Like, basically, I'm the reason of everything that's bad in the universe. And my favorite comment was somebody told me that they hoped that I stepped in fresh warm dog shit. But it was fun because I'm reading it and I'm just like, it's the same advice I would still give. Like, I wouldn't change that because
Right.
I know from my perspective that it's not something that's attractive to an investor, and that's who's going to buy this duplex and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, it's still the same advice. And Glenn goes, all of these bleeding hearts are not your buyer.
Yeah.
So quit worrying about what other people think. That's not your tribe. And I'm like, okay, I get it. As soon as he said it, it was like kind of what you're saying. It was like you had permission to be
Absolutely.
okay with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
So
literally got to that point and I'm like, just be you. That's it.
yeah. So let's wrap things up because I know it's like already after 10 o'clock for Lori,
Oh,
and
that's
I
okay.
know
That's
everybody
okay.
has other
Thank
stuff
you.
to do. But who does anybody have any questions for Lori about what she does, or anything else about anything we've talked about tonight, or just lead generation in general? It's been quiet tonight.
How often would you say that you follow up with people that call you, or you know what I mean, like that say, oh, I'm thinking I might list my home in the spring or in the fall?
I don't know. I definitely will follow up. I don't have a great system. I should be ashamed to myself. I kind of just make notes. I
think
don't really, yeah, I don't have great, that is something that we're working on too with the CRM that Jess is working with me. She's changing my life. She's getting all of this sorted out for me because again, I don't really have time to get all that done. So I'm happy she's doing it. But right now, if anybody does reach out, yeah, I have an old fashioned notebook and I write in there, follow up with so and so. It's terrible, but that's what I do.
So Crystal, a couple things I'll give you on my thought process of that is I did this a ton in the car business when I did that 1,000 years ago when I was in the car business. If somebody said that they were waiting until they got their check in whatever month, I would save them. And if they told me it was March, I would save their name in my phone as February.
Yep.
And
that's
so
what I
then
do.
I could just look it all up and I would have everybody's phone number. You just type in February and you just start making the calls. But I think the other thing is, and I use the remarkable a lot. Lori, we got to talk about this remarkable thing. But I just constantly have a running log of who it is that I've talked to, when I've talked to them, what it is about. And then I'm constantly like, okay, Crystal, you've got somebody that you talk to and they have a house in Country Walk down in Mulvane that they're thinking about selling. The next time that I see it, like I will set up an alert in MLS that says a house in Country Walk or a house in Mulvane or whatever, and I'll have it sent to me. And then I look at it and I'm like, hey, just want to let you know this house just came on the market in your neighborhood. So I don't ever follow up just to follow up. I don't ever call them and just like, hey, touching base. That's just, I can't stand that when people try to sell me shit or try to hover. When we were out looking at furniture a couple of weeks ago and people that, what, are you looking for anything special? No, I'm looking for everything freaking unspecial. Like the most basic bitch shit you have, like that's what I'm looking for. It annoys the crap out of me. And I think it's just because I've done this for so long. Poor people. But I'm just like, I don't ever just reach out to them. I always have. So David was military and everything has an acronym. And so we have an RTC. So it's a reason to contact. It's like, hey, rates just dropped today.
Right.
And statistically, when rates drop, prices of housing goes up. You could totally do that with every freaking seller you have.
Mm-hmm.
Or, hey, you know, it's getting to be election time. Just wanted to give you a quick heads up. If you are curious, I just read an article that said that 9 times out of the last 11 elections, home prices went up after the election. Just wanted to give you a heads up on something that I read. So it's just like you're constantly bringing a value to them instead of acting like you're nagging.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
then you don't feel like a nag following up. You feel like I'm doing my job and I'm keeping them informed so that they can make an educated decision to do whatever it is they're going to do, sell or not sell.
So what did you say you use to remember to follow up? What did you say it was called?
I use a Remarkable. So it's a digital notepad because
I think you told me
I,
about
oh man, like I had 5 different freaking notebooks floating around my dang house and I would write something in one and then I couldn't remember which notebook I wrote it in because like one of them was tracking our Airbnbs and things that I needed to do and one was business and one was agents and one was for my coaching with Glenn and stuff I needed to work on. And I mean, it was just like I even bought one with like dividers in it so that I could divide it.
Yeah, I know.
So
I do that old school too. I have not only the notebook, I have it downstairs. I have the pocket calendar. And if somebody does say to me, oh, we're thinking of in the fall, I will go up to September or end of August and be like, touch base with so and so on Robinson Avenue. And that's kind of how I do it. And I know there's got to be a better way.
well, I like the Remarkable because I can just keep everything in one thing and I can keep it separated into separate folders. You can scan in your documents and have people sign it directly from your Remarkable and then you can email it to yourself. There's a ton of things that I probably haven't even figured out, but like I write a whole lot of stuff in it and then it can even translate it to like text. I've learned that I have to write it in all capital letters and no cursive so that it can read my chicken scratches. But it's nice because I can send it to myself as a Word doc. And then like a lot of projects that I have for overseeing other people's houses, I have to translate it to Spanish. So I can take it as a Google Doc and translate it into Spanish on Google and hand it off to the contractors and hope that it makes sense and hope that Google translated it correctly. They understand enough English and I understand enough Spanish that usually it's somewhere in the middle, but I try to
Right.
give them their checklist in Espanol and I have mine in
That's
English and
great.
try to come together.
That's great.
So anybody else have any questions for Lori tonight or about any of the topics that we've talked about? Easy peasy. Lori, the first thing I talked about was agent to agent referrals. Have you got any from Tom Ferry yet?
I've given. So I had two agents and actually one of them, thank goodness I had the girls in the office. Like I said, I work all the time, so I'm never really in the office. And one of the girls called me and she said, oh, there's a box here for you. And I'm like, okay, could you open it? Because I'm never going to be there.
Picking?
Thank God she opened it. It was brownies from like somebody, a realtor, I think in Delaware. So sweet, real sweet. So I've met so many nice. Is everybody on here from Tom Ferry?
Nope, just you and
No.
I.
Oh, I have to tell you, wonderful. I'm so happy I'm a part of it.
Me too.
Yeah, real good stuff.
What were you gonna say, Crystal?
I don't remember.
Well, Crystal, I think I don't know. I might have just friended you on on Facebook. So we're Facebook friends. We'll be Facebook friends. So you could always reach out to if anything. Okay.
Your
Okay,
guys'
that's-
personality reminds me a lot of each other.
Oh, how funny.
I was writing your name down, so that I could find you on Facebook after I get this.
It's me and I'm laughing. My dog is literally standing in the hallway, like talking to me. I don't know what she wants. So it's me and my dog, Sadie. So it's an easy find.
I'm at a mechanic shop, and my dog Linda is somewhere around here.
I can't make eye contact. She just keeps barking at me. She got groomed today. Maybe she wants me to check out how nice she looks. I don't know.
There's Crystal.
I'm at our mechanic shop, and my dog Linda is over here looking at me, and every now and then she's really dramatic, and she's like, "Oh,
Hurry up, Mom.
I need to go home." Come here, Linda. Come here.
All right. Well, if nobody else has any questions, I'm gonna hop
Oh,
off
I
of
see
here.
your baby. So cute.
There
So
she
cute,
is.
Crystal.
I like Jeff the best.
Yes,
Jeff's the cat.
I know. I'm not even a cat person, but I ended up with one.
Wait, I'll show you. We have construction going on, so don't mind the whole thing, but hold on. I gotta show you how funny what I'm looking at. Wait.
Oh,
There she is. Hi, Sadie. Say hello. She's so funny. She's been calling. I think she knows she's a part of the team. She wants to be on the call. Okay.
all right. Well, if any of you guys have any questions, holler. And then
Absolutely.
next Thursday, we'll have 3 new topics and we'll go from there.
I love it. Thank you so much for having me. I look forward. Maybe I'll see you guys next week too.
That sounds good. Bye,
Okay.
Lori. Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Good night, everybody. Thanks,
Bye.
Lesley.
Night.
Bye.